Good evening everyone, hope you're all doing really well and welcome back to another flight time video with me, Andy Saunders, AndyPandy, whatever the hell you want to call me, Andy. Anyway, let's get on with the flight time video. I've got in the vise here, this is a trout line, this is a W633 number 12. Thread we're going to use for this Nemo is just a red. I like to use red on my Nemos. You can red, brown, black, whatever you want. I'm just going to use red for this one because I want to. So I like mine with red. And we're going to start the thread just at the eye. I'm going to take it down towards the back. We're going to stop this just before the bend of the hook. And then we're going to trim off. Got a hook stuck to my scissors. Trim off your excess thread. Now I've actually got this piece of saddle here. This is just off a brown saddle cape. I'll show you the cape now if I get it out of my box. So it's this one here. It's got a lot nice long. I'll move it back towards you. You can see how big it is. It's a really long cape saddle. And what I do is I pull off some of the thicker ones, thicker hackles. So they've got like this brown section down here, like a dark brown, which I like. And as you go up, then it turns into this nice brown and ginger or dark brown and ginger. What I do is I pull off these bits for like tails on crunchers and dial backs and what have you. And as I get up, I'll then use this tip section for hackle. So this is kind of perfect because I'll be able to use this top section for my hackle for this fly, and I can pull these bits off here to use for a nice dark brown tail. So I'm just going to pull a clump off. This clump will do here. And I'm just going to tie this in. Did I get that right? Length correct or wrong? Slightly long the tail. I'm just going to shorten it up just a little bit. Let's try it again because it slipped, and there we go. That should be long enough. Just going to do a couple of turns there. So that should be fine for the tail. And I'll just save this feather and I'll use this also for the hackle as well. Now, I forgot to get my peacock. I didn't. Peacock, I meant pheasant tail. So I'm actually going to use some pheasant tail. This is just some cock pheasant tail. I'm just going to pull a few strands off, maybe 4 or 5, however many that is. I never count, I just do it by eye and see what looks right for me. I'm just going to trim those off. Now I'm actually going to tie these in tip first, so you get like a slight taper on the body. Just mainly tying these in first. Sorry, I did that the wrong way around. You're supposed to tie those in last. You do your last material first, your first material last. So our last material is going to be wire. So we're tying in some silver wire. This is actually just hen silver wire. I do have some trout line silver wire somewhere here, but I couldn't find it on my desk. That's why I'm using my hen silver wire. Because I couldn't find it because my desk is messy and still can't find it. It's somewhere on my desk. But anyway, we'll tie in this. This is just some silver wire, fine silver wire. I think it's 0.1 silver wire, so it's quite thin. And then we'll also tie in our rib material. This is some red holographic tinsel. This is medium. Again, we're just going to tie that in. And then, as I said, your first material needs to be tied in last. And then we'll just take our thread. All you need to do is just wind your thread down the body and that'll tie up everything you've just tied in. Perfecto. Now all you need to do is grab your pheasant tail and just start to wind this down the shank of your hook. And when you get to about 4 or 5 millimeters from the head, just do a turn over top, turn in front, and then another lock and turn. Then you can come in, trim off your excess. Now just do a couple more turns just to make sure your thread's locked and you've locked everything in. Grab your red holographic tinsel and then just space turns. You can do these closer together, further apart, depends on how you like your fly. Everyone's different, and to be fair, there's also no right and wrong. If you want 2 turns of tinsel on there or 5 turns of tinsel, it doesn't make a difference as long as you're happy with the fly. Last but not least, take your silver wire but wrap it totally the opposite way. So total opposite way to that you've wrapped your other 2 materials, and this will lock those materials in place. And then what you do is, once you've got your last turn in, go over the top of your wire and then bend your wire 90 degrees, and then you can then run it down the shank of the hook and secure it in. and then just give it a wiggle and it snaps off. Now for the original Nemo, everyone used peacock herl. I don't like using peacock herl because unless I've got a rib over it or a wire over it, I don't like using it. So I'm actually going to be using the Sci-Bi Spectra Flash in peacock. So this stuff I love. I'm just going to dub some onto my thread. To be fair, in my opinion, this gives the same effect, or probably is even better effect. That's my personal opinion. And then all we're going to do is just dub this on nicely, make like a nice little ball, rugby ball kind of shape. There you go. And just do a couple of turns in front to secure it. Now, as I said, we're going to come back to this hackle. So I'm going to find a section where the hackle's relatively long. You can use cock or hen on these, it's totally your preference of what you prefer to use. I prefer to use cock on most of mine, cock hackles. And as you can see, those hackles there are pretty much the length of the body, which is what I wanted. So what you do is just place it so you've got you've got a shiny side and you've got your dull side. Make sure the dull side's in and back down the shank. Okay, take your thread over the top. That just slipped. Take your thread over the top. Just do a couple of turns to secure it. Now what I'm going to do is come in, just trim off this shank here. I'm actually going to fold this shank back and then tie it in, and that way you've got like an elbow there, so it's really going to secure this hackle in so it can't go anywhere. And then come in and trim off the excess. Now, some of the thread doesn't slip, which sometimes does when you wind in hackle. It doesn't always, but it sometimes can. I'm just going to grab in just a one turn whip finish, just so my thread doesn't slip while I'm winding the hackle. So start at you want to basically do one turn, come in, pull everything back, and then do that turn in front of that turn, and I always have one last turn, again pull everything back. Now grab your thread, come over the top. All you need to do now is you've locked that in, it's not going to go anywhere. Pull everything back with your opposite hand and then just start running your thread, touch and turns back up. Not a lot, just slightly. And that'll then splay your hackles backwards. Also, when you're tying these patterns, you can either have the hackle kind of like flat against the body, like they kind of sit like this, or you can have them splayed. I prefer mine splayed, just because I want more movement in the fly. That's just how I prefer mine. Totally personal preference, that's how I prefer mine. And now, very, very simple case to finish the fly is grab some varnish. I'm using Vineyard brush coat here. Grab your whip finish tool. And there's a 6-turn whip finish. Drop my whip finish tool on the floor as normal. Trim off your excess. And there is your fly done. So there is the Nemo, or my version of the Nemo. It's almost identical really. But great fly, great little nymph. Obviously you can pull this or fish it slow. Totally up to you what you want to do with it. But this is the one I love for, say if you're fishing nymphs, you just twitch it back on it's like a sink tip or even an intermediate depending on how deep the fish are. So anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next video.